All right. Chase Frishman, welcome back to the show.
Travis Mewhirter, thank you for having me. It's been a long time.
Dude, it's been a long time since we've had you on the podcast, but we spent a lot of time together recently.
Yes, we have.
It's been a great couple of weeks.
It has been.
We've got to do some exploring, too.
We both like the forest.
We like the forest. We like wandering around in the hills and the mountains.
Yes.
And then finding little pockets of beach volleyball.
And there are some really, really groovy spots that in which people are playing that in cool spots across the country. So yeah, I appreciate you joining me and supporting us in that way.
Yeah, well, I love it. When you asked me, when was it, like January-ish or February?
Yeah, they all blur together.
Yeah, it was early in the year, and you were like, "Hey, do you want to go to Montana and coach some beach volleyball?" I was like, "Chase, you just could have stopped in Montana. I'm in."
Amen. Amen. And then we didn't stop there. We did Boise as well.
Boise, which was awesome.
Which is really cool.
Like the nicest people.
So nice.
And it was sweet because Hermosa right now is like the juniors capital of the world, and so all the like. Alex from Boise,
right?
He's in town recruiting. Got to see him,
right?
Got to see Hunter and Brody,
for sure,
and the whole Sanchez family. Like, awesome.
July's like Christmas for volleyball for all these other states, right? Because they come to California, and we get to experience this, 12 out of 12. But they're like, this is our month, and they come out here, right? So it is cool to reconnect with some of the kids and the adults across the country that we've gotten to, touch base with and continue relationships, which is really fun.
You've probably got fans all over the place now.
Just so many random ones. A lot of them, a lot of them under 6 foot. A lot of them under 6 foot. No, we have a lot of, we have some fans and just connections, and it's mostly trying not to be like fanship, like more like, just relationships built like eye to eye that have been really cool. Because obviously, we were really good at volleyball. Some people are they got their own secret skills, right?
Yeah.
So that's been cool.
It's been really cool to see you build this flight school operation you got going on. Did you expect it to become like this? Because you do a phenomenal job.
Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And it helps when you're supported by the pros. I think that's, I think it started a couple years back during COVID when everybody was kind of looking every which way of what we were going to do with our lives, right? And I decided to shoot off. I think that was documented as well, right? I decided I was going to shoot off and go
Subaru?
Travel across the country in my Subi, so that was documented as well, right? Good to be 6 foot and under for that one. But I only made it so far. I made it a couple weeks, but I had reached out during that time and recognized how much value the pros have across the country and how much people really appreciate learning and want to watch the game in all these different little pockets, right? So I reached out a little bit of desperation, but then that turned into an excitement of how special this sport is nationwide and how many pockets of volleyball and different personalities and communities that there were out there, and and that's kind of how it started. So it was an individual journey, and then now I'm like, wait, how cool would it be if we all banded together on this? All the pros, what's better than me? Okay. Well, Taylor Crabb. And then, and then 5 other people that are banded together, and okay, I can learn from Lefty Trav. I can learn how to jump over the net from Troy Field and how to smile big. And so it's all kind of connected in that way. And just feel very, it's a special spot for me to be able to be a part of that energy with everybody and, to hopefully guide this ship in a way that we don't lose that community as it goes.
Yeah. So where'd you come up with the name Flight School?
I liked birds as a child.
Yeah.
So I guess there's something about something that's flying that feels free. So flight school, it would be to take flight. It started when we were working with a lot of juniors, and it's to take flight. What is it to take flight? Oh, your dreams, limitless dreams. And obviously the pros, in our small subsection of this world, right? The pros have made it in some way. They've made it. So it's just to go across the country and be able to connect with some of these kids that have a ton of talent, and maybe they're hidden in Montana or they're hidden in Pennsylvania somewhere where they don't have as many resources potentially. And if we can go and sparkle a little bit of magic on them once or twice a year and allow them to connect our energy as we're going about, these dreams and say, hey, it's possible. It's a pretty cool opportunity for us to be able to it's just as equal for the pros to be able to feel that energy of whoa, I matter. I mean something to all these people.
It's super cool. And I love what Zana said in Montana, how she's I grew up with the best coaching in the world living in the South Bay. Like she grew up, it's like, oh, Uncle Mike and Aunt Patty Dodd are teaching me to play.
Right.
It's like you're talking about one of the best defenders of all time, and a lady who's also on the Manhattan Pier. And that's who her coaches were. Then she goes out to Montana and she's just teaching very basic, just a block step on defense, and they're like, and she's like, I realized it helped her realize how blessed she has been to have access to the type of coaching she's had her entire life. Now she gets to bring it to all these little pockets around the country, and the game is exploding.
Absolutely.
Everywhere. I mean, it starts with the NCAA game, but I think you came into it at such a good time where the grassroots level is huge.
Yeah, and obviously, where I always laugh too is when you're talking about that too. It's like growing in the women's side, and then I've had conversations like, what are we doing? What are the guys doing? What are we doing? But then obviously Andy Benesh and Miles Partain, they go and win the gold, and they bring USA. We're back to the legacy, right? But it's cool, grassroots, right? The movement, especially with the girls. So we do that's the back to the take flight, like some of these girls that I just want to make sure that everybody understands that they can go to this higher level and just opens their mind to that potential. And we're a little in that way, we're also a little holistic. We do mindfulness and some meditation with the kids, and, bring some of that body mechanics and different movements and mind, body, soul as well, kind of sprinkled in there as well, with just having a damn good fun time, you know, and having the adventure of it.
And isn't it so fun to be able to take your gifts and talents that you've nurtured as a player and then find a bigger thing outside of actually playing to have an impact?
For sure. Absolutely. And, it's do as I say, not as I am, on the court sometimes. I just played this guy, right? We just battled it out right in Hermosa, and I'm screaming at you through the net, trying to get the most, where can I find an edge, right? And then I'm like, hey guys, be peaceful out there, find your flow, right? So it is funny. It's it's an interesting dynamic to work as a coach and then as a player and have to continue. It's always a moving landscape within that to go okay, this is what works for me. Does it work for me? I think it's a negotiation for everyone on their way up, and continues until you're probably a gold medalist, right? So that has been an interesting dynamic for me to okay, what is the blend of flight school going to be? Okay, is this going to be from my personal insight as a player and as a player that has only gotten so far? It's gone, I would say I've had a good career so far. I haven't won anything, right? But
taking a couple thirds this year.
Which we're
you did win a good Norseca. Winning some Norsecas is all right, it's Norseca, but that was a good one. For sure. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's it seems like it's but for me, it's always who's going to tell somebody this is exactly how you're supposed to play, right? This is exactly how you're supposed to play. I've always had that kind of open mind to it, and that's, I think, why having the panel of pros around us where, hey, I'm going to share my insight, and that might look a little bit different than this person, and it kind of makes it for a cool process within that, a workshopping of God, who do I relate to? And then they can build that connection and relationship, and maybe it lasts longer than whatever that 8, 10, 12 hour it is,
Yeah, because it's beach volleyball, I think it's one of the most artistic sports in that there's no right way to really do anything. Mm-hmm. It's you have your way of playing defense, and Zana has her way of playing defense. I think you two actually play very similar, but it's very free-flowing. Mm-hmm. And then you'll have someone else, like a Miles Partain, whose style is so distinct, where he just starts in the seam, then jukes line, jukes angle, jukes line, and then he moves somewhere else. It's well, I don't know if anyone else in the world can do what Miles Partain is doing. You can try, but maybe that might not be for you.
Yeah.
And so I like that you bring in people with a bunch of different styles and mindsets, and it's here's the way that Travis sets, here's the way I set, Zana sets, and they're just experiment, figure out what works for you.
Exactly, and that's the point of it, right? And I had to push my ego aside a little bit, not to be I want it to be this way, but I'm you know what? At the end of the day, it's pretty cool. It's pretty damn cool to be around that, and I got to learn. I got a lot to learn. I got stuff to learn. How do I hit this cut shot? How does he hit that one? God, my wrist is kind of inflexible. I got to loosen that dang thing up, right? Trav hits that inside shot he's painting that line every time. Can't get to that one.
Well, dude, in Denver, it was crazy. I'm more of a shooty player typically, but in Denver, I could not wrap my hand around the ball. And I'd go to hit a shot, and I'd hit this spatchy line 4 feet long. I was that felt perfect. And so I was like, all right, there's only swinging left. That's all I can do. And I've hit like 10 shots since.
Right. Really? So, yeah. Like, it's so crazy how it just goes like this, right? Yeah. Like, my goodness, wild. Elevation. The damn elevation.
Yeah. And those Basie brothers have it locked down.
That's why Colorado did so dang good out there, huh? Not just because Tom Davenport. No, I'm joking. He was just like pumping everybody out.
Yeah. Dude, Tom does a great job out there. Yeah. Have you done a flight school out in Colorado?
We did last year.
Okay.
We circled through. We had a we broke ground there a little bit, but obviously he's it's a great community out there, and kind of Colorado's its own little like. Doesn't it seem like its own little microclimate of volleyball? Like it's like its own like. It's
cool because like that Colorado community, Tom has that south of the border volley vacations community out there. So when you go when I played Billy and Alisson, typically you'd think, all right, people will probably root against one of the greatest blockers of all time and, root for, Travis and Jake, the severe underdogs. But it was like, Billy Allen. I'm like, damn you SOBers. You're so nice to that guy.
Yeah.
But Tom's built this really cool community.
And that is very cool. And, I've got to, as well, give credit to the people that have come before me for some of the ideas and the themes with which we have run with as well, because, they have set the framework to have these events where you're getting to play with these pros, getting to learn from, and just hang out with, and just bringing that community together. So those are some guiding lights that have helped within this as well, right? To see those, obviously we're a little bit different in the fact that we travel to you and go to these different communities, right, and work with the communities there, but yeah, in appreciation for anyone who in the sport is working to support the pros, right? And he has done that for a lot of years. So I appreciate Tom Davenport in that way. Like, it's really cool.
Yeah. What, how has your vision for flight school changed? I feel like it probably started as one thing and it's slowly kind of evolving and morphing. Right. You've just sort of adapted as it's needed to be adapted.
Right. So I think it started off as very holistic in my mind. Like, I wanted to connect in a way that felt very spiritual, and hey, can we, work on our games and work on the alignment of the mind, body, and spirit to be our best athletes out on the court. I still want that to be a piece of it, but in terms of the overarching framework, people want to just relate and connect. People don't want to feel like they're a science experiment, or that they have to be fixed as well. So we hold space in segments of our operation to have it be like, God, focus on, that's one of the gifts that I feel that I do have, is to see the body and how it moves on the court and find ways to unlock its potential and make it more efficient in how it moves, and also find ways to, calmly see that and improve those things and create a framework in that. So we do have that within it, right? And then we also have the experience to learn from different people and the potential in that. So very obviously, as it sounds, open environment. You can choose what you want in that kind of a menu of options.
Yeah. I like, I think that the little happy hour, like the 3 hour, just sort of pop around, play. I think that is the absolute best way to introduce people to each other. Right. Because I forget who said it. It's like you can learn more about a person in 1 hour of play than 1,000 hours of just conversation. And I find that to be so true. Because you just pop around, because you're talking while you're playing. And you figure out, all right, what's this person's temperament? You learn about them fast. Right. When you're just playing those little happy hours.
Yeah. So
they're fun.
Branded happy hour with the pros coming to you. Let's get it. I don't know if we have the brand for it. But no, the happy hour with the pros, the power hour with the pros is like happy hour with the pros, 2 or 3 hours, right, where people can get a chance to play, have a drink, get social, potentially mingle in a way that's either deeper in a relationship level or in a business level as well. Hey, maybe you got, you want to sponsor Taylor Crabb, or hey, maybe you want to, these relationships and the opportunities of that. And then obviously we're blessed, very, very, very blessed to be sponsored by Slunks that have taken amazing care of me. So then we have kind of colorful prizes and opportunities to win. The kids love that kind of stuff too as well. So that and I think Power Hour, sorry for another branded Power Hour. Power Hour with the pros, which some people in these different spots, right, have stations, rotating stations where each pro can give an expertise. So, I think in Montana you did passing and setting. Yep. Maybe the next one that Travis Mewhirter is a part of, he's working on blocking or hitting, right, and focusing on. I want to sell we want to connect to the personality of the pros to like drip through each skill and not just be like, okay, I'm coaching block, like, you know, like all of us know something, but I want it like something that palpably feels rich. Like they feel like this is what makes them that player. Right. Yeah. So you get an opportunity maybe for 4 or 5 hours in a rotating station where you get Trav for an hour where you are like what, can I ask you that question? Like, what is Travis Mewhirter's pro expertise? What is his like best skill? Like that you would like that, you know, you'd love to teach? Yeah.
For me, I love setting because, and I'll use JD as an example. So when I first started playing, JD was one of the best players in the area. And so I hit him up on Facebook and I was like, dude, I love your game. You're so awesome. You're my hero. Will you play with me? And he said, I'll only play with you if you handset. And so I was like, all right, fair. And so setting and serving are the only two skills that you can practice 100% by yourself without the help of even a wall. And so I just practiced setting and serving because you have full control of those skills to practice. Yeah. And so once I learned how to handset, me and JD started playing together. And then here we are 8 years later. We made our first main draw together. But and setting, I think, has become my best skill because of that. Because I grew up golfing and playing basketball, two things that you don't need anyone to practice and get better at. So I love skills that I don't need anyone around. Nice. I don't need to depend on anyone to show up on time. I can just like, all right, I'm going to go to the range or shoot hoops or just set balls or serve balls, whatever.
Very cool.
So setting and serving are my two favorites.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Meditative, right? And that's what you've always talked about, like hitting your shots. You're out there. Just cool.
And that's what I did. I did that before our match against the Taylors in Hermosa. Well, because we didn't play till I think 11:15, and so I got up with Austin at like 5:30, and I was like, well, I got a long time before our match, so I got like a little primer lift in, and then I just went out with a bag of balls and hit like 100 shots. And my arm swing, it just felt, you know when your arm swing feels out of the groove? Yeah. Like it's just not there. Yeah. It had felt in such a funk until, I mean, you saw how terrible we were at practice 2 days before Hermosa. Yeah. We were awful. And then that morning, I'd watched Miles Partain, and I was like, I want to tweak it just like that. And then for whatever, it just like clicked into the groove, and I was like, oh, there we go. And so I just hit like 100 line shots, packed up, ate breakfast, and then went and played. Right. I love those skills. It's meditative, and you can figure stuff out. It's like my little tool shed.
Amen. Amen. Super cool, dude. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't think we practiced against this guy 2 days before, and I just absolutely ate his lunch. And then,
we were terrible.
Yeah, it was bad. I was like, okay, well, it's cool. JD's got the story. We love this guy. I know he's really good. He just can crush it. I got so humbled on Saturday that like after that, you guys just came out and crushed us and just absolutely played with like passion and like bravado and like. I was doing whatever I could. I was just scratching and clawing at the door.
You had 19 digs.
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, I know, but I couldn't put a ball down on you guys, dude. I couldn't do it. No, this sport will continue to, you know that very well, right? Like it continues to humble you and shape you and like just tell you what you got to keep working on for sure, you know, and know like, and I'm not saying that out of disrespect for you guys, right, as well. It has really put a microscope for me on my lack of, you know, at times that are tough to stick with it. And as you say, like, you know, you have a tough time and then you come back and what do you decide to do with that? Right. So living, breathing, continuing to connect to that. So I'm inspired by that to like remember that those are the ways that we have to be.
Yeah. I mean, I was
get hard out here.
Dude, after that practice, I was having like an existential crisis. I was talking to Jake for a while after, because me and Jake, like, we're still probably going to play a couple more tournaments this year. And I was like, Jake, are we going to get embarrassed? Like, I don't think we have a prayer of doing anything. And then just like 2 days later, whatever it was shifted. Maybe, and JD was in like a full-on panic after we lost 21-10 to the Taylors.
Really?
Like, bro, I have never had anyone do to me what Taylor Crabb just did to me. And then we just like got dinner, hung out with the kids, and then the next day he's like ready to rock and roll again.
Yeah.
Just bounce back like that.
Bounce back.
And I think us beating Dave and Rafa was big for him, that he could beat a team of that quality on that stage. He was like, okay, maybe I'm not terrible. Okay.
He wasn't at all. It's so just smooth.
But sports are so weird. It's just so up and down.
Right.
And I feel like you've had a couple, like, your journey's been interesting to watch because I feel like there've been a couple times where I'm like, I wonder if Chase is going to keep playing, and then bam, like you come out this year, pick up Cody, fresh out of India, and you go like bam, third. I was like, all right, Chaser's back.
And he's proven to continue his run too as well, right? I think he's won in Wapaka and Pottstown back to back as well.
Yeah, I forgot
super
about
skilled,
Pottstown.
fiery, amazing player, right? And it's cool. It's cool to, we've talked also the partnership, right? Like all these dynamics that are swirling, right? The McKibben, it's kind of blown, sometimes blown out of proportion in a beautiful way, right? But the reality TV show-esque of having a good partnership, right? And you gotta, there's personal, there's emotional, there's like, all of it is so, it's cool how we have to blend that, and you end up finding the sweet spot with,
It's unique.
It's very unique. It's very unique. So many moving pieces on that. Who have I had? I've got Brunsting.
I think you and Mikey were. Yeah. I still associate you with Brunsting. Yeah. As like, that's Chaser's guy.
Right. That's cool.
Because you broke through together.
Yeah.
And you were, I remember, because that was when I was living down in Huntington, so I saw you guys a lot. And then I remember when me and, who was I playing with in that qualifier? Miles Magututia. No, DR. It was me and DR.
Oh, cool.
We played you guys when you qualified for the first time. We played you in the third round in Huntington.
On the south side of Huntington Pier.
You guys just whacked us. And I was like, okay.
We were kind of on
we'll
like...
lose that 10 times out of 10, I think.
We had like a little rope. Like I just felt like, you can feel that little flow. And that's
you guys beat Ed and Lumi right after that. And that was when Ed was playing well and Lumi was playing well.
Yeah, I didn't do much. I remember that one. And that one, like, I remember my fans around the court were screaming at Lumi, and Lumi was throwing sand. And
dude, it's funny that you won the fans over down in Laguna, because that's like, Ty likes Laguna, but you're the Laguna kid.
Well, I grew up. I'm like, I respect the heck out of Ty, and Ty, Ty's given me a ton. Like, speaking of people that, like, you got mentors in your life, like the Rosies, the Loomis, the Powders, all those guys. Casey Jennings has even been really cool to me. Like, but for sure, Ty's from Georgia. Ty's out in Georgia. Like, Laguna's home for Ty, but I don't know. Like, send me a postcard from Georgia. Hope he's watching this one.
I think he's coaching out there now.
I know
too.
he
He's
is.
coaching Mercer.
And he's got a ton to teach, and they're blessed to have him out there. He's awesome.
But you in the Laguna crowd.
But Laguna's home, dude. Don't try to claim this.
Because that year you won Rookie of the Year that year, right?
2016. 2016 came on Rookie of the Year. If you don't mind, if I like just kind of like a little, 2016 Rookie of the Year. Like, I don't think I came out like really. It just felt like an essential. Like, it felt like outside of me. It kind of felt like a very God-given, like, a flow that I rode, and I was like, all of a sudden, like, I don't know if I really dreamt of this. It just happened for me so fortuitously, and then I started working hard, but then it started to turn into like a little bit of an egoic, like, oh wow, I'm getting all this like attention, I'm getting all this crowd, love, and really like, what's the next step? And I'm seeing all these people that I've got to shoot for now, right now, the legends of the game. How are we going to get these Sundays consistently?
Right.
You make a couple that you're like getting a third or a fifth, and then like, when nobody's at home, everyone's in the Olympic run, right? Yeah. And then you're like, okay, how do I get there? So I had a really difficult journey, I think, for 2 or 3 years because of that. That was more like looking at all hyperbolizing all your difficulties, all the the challenges, the things that are your limitations, so you can get kind of lost in that. So I feel like, going through that, I feel very equipped and grateful to help guide the next generation. That's also another part of flight school as well, right? Like, kind of seeing how I've done it and how it's been kind of a tough up and down and topsy-turvy ride in that regard. And how can I make that journey just a little bit smoother for another, or someone just a little bit more prepared for that difficulty, right? And that ascension, and be a little kinder to ourselves, right? And a balance of life. I think I always like to search for that. And I'm like, have I been doing that? Like, am I doing that? So I'm trying, that's where I'm at back in my life, is get back to the balance, like work hard, but also just be smart in how I move forward, and hopefully don't run to the hills anytime soon.
The hills are a good place, though.
Oh, that's right. That's why we're going to Boise in Montana. Exactly. Now I can do it for work.
Yeah.
That's what I've built for myself.
Exactly. Isn't that sweet? When your work is either the beach or the mountains.
Ikigai. That's what people keep telling me.
Ikigai,
right?
I love that concept.
Yeah.
And for the listeners who don't know, can you explain what Ikigai is?
I think you could probably, I mean, isn't it,
So it's like something that you like to do,
yeah.
something that you're good at, something that you can make money at, and something that is good for the world.
Oh, so you don't do that at all, do you?
And never. Never heard of it.
That's why you smile ear to ear every single day.
I know.
Like,
it's so funny.
It's great.
Like, people will be like, man, you're such a happy guy. I'm like, I can't think of one reason why I would be unhappy for 1 second in my life right now. And there's been an extraordinary amount of hard work, but there's also been an extraordinary amount of luck that goes into it.
Right.
And I think the two kind of go hand in hand, but I think you're starting to experience that where the harder you work, the luckier you get. And some good fortune just like falls into your life sometimes.
Yeah, you recognize that as well. You recognize that as well over time, that you're like, gosh, am I as prepared as I can be? What do I want in this life, and what am I willing to sacrifice, right? And we always, that's a shifting landscape, and we got to be all right with what we put into things and then what we get out, and be fully like humble to that. And I don't think I've always done the best job of that, right? Of being able to be recognized, God, am I giving as much as all these other people around me, to this sport? So this gives me a really cool opportunity to give in a different way that feels a little more collaborative than competitive. I'm like a fire burning, like on the court, like hostile at times, but also peaceful. I'm a blend of all that kind of stuff. We don't need to get in, but like, yeah, the collaboration of this sport, and I really appreciate it. On the other side of the net, we're playing this weekend. You're wearing the Flight School shorts, and I appreciate you've been wearing them for like a long time. Yeah, and I hope that you've felt that in going to our events. That like at the core of it, at the root of it, that we like. That's what we're trying to grow. We want to grow this community combined effort to, lift up the pros and whatever experiences they're going through, and be there to, move the sport in whatever way we can support, and in our slice of it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a cool thing to show people that you can be competitors for an hour, and then you can also be like coworkers and friends and peers for the other 23. Right. I think it's not that, like, you look at the NBA or something and guys they'll just clash and they won't be like buds off the court. I don't think it's that hard of a balance to strike.
You're good at it, dude. You're good at it. You're pretty good at it.
But I think it's also, I've like toyed with the emotional balance of like what I want to be on the court, and for a while I was like, yeah, maybe I'll channel like that, like Michael Jordan, like rage on the court. And I tried that and I was like, that feels bad. Yeah. And for me, like some guys like, yeah, I play better angry, but it's not for me. Like I play better when I'm light and kind of goofy and laughing, but also focused. I don't know. Yeah. And so I'm like, I've given up on experimenting with other things. I found what kind of works for me. Right. And it was funny when I hit you and you like tried the chicken wing dig. And you're like, it's going to be a bloodbath. And I like kind of started smiling and laughing. And then like 2 points later, I hit a pretty crisp high line. And you're like, dude, that's a nice high line. I was like, I just like pushing myself. I think it's hard for me to be in a game in which, that's what it is. I allow it to like flow all the way through. And then I think that's what I fear the most, is like allowing the flow all the way through and then losing one of those games. And then not feeling like I intervened, like I gave, like I'm going to throw myself in there, like somehow, some way, if I feel like the flow is off, to try to change that. Yeah. And then I at least feel like, okay, I threw myself in there. I gave everything that I had in that way, even if it was vile and a little bit like, disgusting or menacing in some way. Like I tried. And I think that's always been kind of like my staple of my heart. Like if I don't feel like I gave everything that I had, right, it'll kill me after. Like I'll be like 100%, and I'll just like be looking back. What was I doing? Yeah, like, what am I doing out there? 100%. Yeah, I think that I would so much rather go out knowing that I tried something, like emotionally something different, because sometimes like you need to punt the ball or whatever. Yeah, like take a red card and give up. Have you punted one? Yeah, hell yeah. I have not gotten the distance you did in Manhattan last year. That was epic. I love that. Even Avery was just like on the video, like, see you later. Yeah, I mean, I've punted I love a good ball punt in practice. Done a couple in a match, the occasional red card, but sometimes you just need to fire the boys up. God. Like, no one's going to judge me for that? All right, okay, I'm going to punt. No, I'm joking. I think Reed Pretty still probably has the best punt I've seen. He put one into the Hudson in New York. No way. Oh, yeah.
That wasn't the water. I'm joking. He all the way over the stadium.
All the way. Well, he was on one of the side courts, and so he put it over the net.
Oh.
And so we're like, we got a floater.
Did AVP bill him?
I wouldn't think so. With the amount of balls that the AVP was giving out on center court for the finals.
Good. But what about the giant ball, though?
The giant ball
from New
May
Orleans.
she rest in peace.
I think somebody's wearing it as a skirt somewhere back there.
Well, my friend Logan and Ashley Rydell went out and they carved out a piece of it, and they were getting all the pros to sign it.
That's cool.
Did you sign it?
I didn't. I was out of that loop. I didn't. But
it's in Logan's man cave.
I swear I saw somebody wearing it as a kilt. Somebody came back.
Dude, the New Orleans crowd is special.
Yeah.
Like small but mighty.
Right.
There weren't a ton of them, but they were out there till 11:30 at night during that rain delay, just like getting after it.
Right.
The bar at Coconut popping off.
After, like, people dancing on the bar. All the first, second, and third. Like, to me, that has to be, like, the location of the tournament that does that like, unites the teams, right?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You don't really see that often. People that are, like, competing for, like, a spot on the gold medal. Like, you know what I mean? Like, It's like... You don't see that often. So Coconut's special place, right?
Coconut
got that
is
energy,
a special place.
Got that collaborative energy.
Have you done a flight school there?
We did one, yeah. We did one the day before.
Okay. Right on.
Yes.
I figured that would be a great spot for. Yeah. I mean, you could have a wide selection of pros there between Tony, Kristen, Taryn, Evan, Savvy. It's kind of like an adopted.
For sure.
Louisiana.
For sure. No, and we'd love in the future to do something and grow something in that way. Obviously, we're looking for, at the end of the day, it's just coming into a clearer picture. It's like, once again, it feels like it just kind of has been guided to see where flight school takes us. It hasn't felt like something I've chased down. It just kind of it's evolving in a cool way. And we're looking for spots to have a regional attendance for these as we grow in the next 5-10 years, where people are coming from these different spots once, twice a year, and say it's a Coconut, say it's we got Third Coast in Houston, Texas that we've worked with, and we have the Boise, like all these different spots in which the pros can congregate. We run these fun, big events, likely Slunks will be a part of these things into the future as well. And, to me, it's like these locations, right? We have it here in California, beautiful. AVP's doing a hell of a job, an awesome job. We're just like blessed with anything that they're giving us as well. But if there's any way to be subsidiary and accompanying to bring more opportunities, whether it's we've done next, you were part of our exhibition that was in Boise,
so fun.
Yeah, which was awesome. What do we have? 400 people there for a one-off.
Paying like $10-$20 a pop. Great job, Boise.
Good job, Boise. Good job, Boise. Exactly.
Awesome.
So and if we can do things like that and King of the Court and some different fun event style clinics, full weekend. Sky Pass, it's another one. Sky Pass. Sorry, I'm done with that. But cool opportunities moving forth. Yeah. And stoked. Thank you for helping to grow that.
Thanks for growing it. I'm ready to help anytime.
Thank you, bro.
It's cool when you build something and people start coming to you and asking, oh, how can we bring that here? And I think you've probably built that, because I'm just talking to you, like how many you've done. You've done way more than I thought, and you have way more on the schedule than I would have anticipated. I figured it'd be like maybe 5-6 a year, and you're doing what, like 15, 20?
Yeah.
If not more?
Yeah, 15 or 20 probably.
It's amazing.
Thanks, man. Thanks. Yeah, no, it's, I like to travel, so I think I'm cut out for it. Yeah. I'm all right with it. I can be off the ground, going and floating and meeting new people in that way. And the one of that is we're going international. We're going to be in Canada. Here in the next couple weeks, which is cool. And that's
where are you? Edmonton?
So Kelowna, British Columbia, which is like I think it's a quick puddle jump. Hour flight from Edmonton. Okay. So guy just reached out to us and was like, I want pro AVP beach volleyball in our backyard right here. I want you to kind of come up here. So we're constructing an event to come up there, and we got an exhibition. Troy Field, Evan Corey are going to be a part of that one. Nice. Tony Rodriguez, Kaylee York, myself. So we got a pretty cool cast, and we got a couple of the Canadians that are going to meet us there too as well. Aaron Chambers and Liam Kopp.
Nice.
So just grow the sport, and if we end up like getting a chance to like work with some of these FIVB legends as well, and kind of bring that to the U.S., why the heck not?
Why the heck not?
Why the heck not?
Yeah, that's cool that you're going international already.
Yeah, it is cool.
Canada's a good it's a good soft entrance.
It's a soft international, right? Like North American entrance to the international scene.
It's pretty much just like American Montana.
Exactly.
Or Canadian Montana.
Amen. maybe that's on the list. On the list of potential prospects. I know you guys were prospecting as well.
Yeah, always scouting. Always scouting. Yeah.
I don't know if you want to go to Canada though. Maple syrup.
I don't think we want to go to Canada. I think we're staying in the U.S.
Staying stateside.
Yeah, but we do want to go to. There's a bunch of spots in Canada we want to go to.
It's cool.
Like Banff. Have you ever been to Banff?
I mean, it's the most gorgeous water of all time.
Man, I want to go there.
Yeah.
It's hard because now that we've been to Montana, it's like, all right, well, Glacier's next on the list, and the Tetons are after that in Yellowstone. I'm like, all right, well, we got to get Banff eventually. Maybe when Austin's like 18, we'll get to all these spots.
Yeah.
And the list will keep growing.
No, you're going to get a little baby hammock for him. A little hiking one that's like tight to the chest, and he's going to go with you, right?
Dude, he's getting so heavy.
Yeah.
He's 20 pounds.
Yeah.
And which he's less than 3 months. He's 20 pounds. He's a monster. He's like, there. We have a buddy who has a kid who's 6 months old who's 2 pounds heavier than him.
Damn.
He's a fat boy.
Just a bruiser.
Just a bruiser, man.
Dang bruiser. Can you know what I'm fat? Can you imagine, like, with kids, can you imagine, like, what they'll be without doctoring? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, Do you see this kid and do you feel like you can, like, connect to, like, what qualities he's going to have? Do you understand?
Not yet, but it is affecting how I behave in a lot of circumstances where, like, I'm like, I know that you have no idea what's happening at the moment, but when you're 2 or 3, like, he's going to start subconsciously taking in a lot of our behaviors.
Yeah.
And he's going to start emulating them and mimicking them in his own way. And so I have become very conscious of, like, how I act in a lot of situations when he's around.
Yeah.
And, like, how I treat Delaney is how he's going to learn how to treat women. And how I behave on the court after, like, a bad call or a loss or whatever is what he's going to see as okay. Yeah, I was laughing about that with Tim Baumgren in the players' tent. So it was me, Tim, and JD and Phil. This was right before we just got knocked out, and Tim was about to play Phil in the 7th place match to go to the quarters. And Maverick came up to JD. Maverick's JD's 4-year-old son. And he goes, "Dad, you lose." And Tim was like, or JD goes, "Do you see what I have to deal with?" And Tim goes, "I'm actually having the opposite problem where I have to tell Brody, hey, Daddy lost. And you know what Daddy's not doing? He's not crying." He's like, because Brody's in that age where when he loses, he like will start crying. And so Tim's showing him like how to accept the loss like a man. Right. And meanwhile, JD's like, maybe have a little compassion for losing. It's so funny. Kids are so funny, dude.
So funny. It's so true, though. It's so true how we're raised, right? It's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
it's crazy to have that kind of impact. But in a similar way, like coaching at Flight School has that same effect where when you're coaching, it's like, oh, well, I should do this as a player. Like I'm telling these guys, instead of spinning while I set, if I'm out of system, just keep your shoulders the same. Meanwhile, I'm out here on the court just like 360 spinning. Like, oh, I can make it. I'm like, well, don't do that.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating. And sure enough, I'm like, just listen to your intuition. And people are like, I didn't grow up playing, like, tell me how to hold my dang hands and where I'm supposed to put this ball. And I'm like, just listen to the flow. My phenomenal coaching advice. Like, I swear it gets a little deeper than that, but it's like, it is funny. It's, we're all like from these different levels of when we learn the sport and what we need to hear.
Yeah.
Right now that like we're more formed, and some people, maybe their whole life, maybe they were taught, you got to try so dang hard in everything you do. And that's, it's great. It's a freaking great quality, but also maybe you see that gritting of the teeth for that set every single time. And you're just like, you don't have to try that hard. Right. Maybe that's energy and inefficiency. Just relax. Just relax. Set that ball, set your angle, and feel good about your touch. So we like to encourage that. But then there's, I'm more on that side of like, how does it feel? Is it fluid? And there's other people that we have that are more about the discipline and more about the angles and the square and like where your shoulders are. And, you're going to get to hear that from, somebody that's more structured, and you're going to get to hear from me more like kumbaya, Yeah. So that's what we like to, that's kind of our saying has been where structure meets flow. Yeah. Because I really do believe that some people need to be, yeah. It's good. And it's like, you can feel when somebody don't you see that on the court when somebody's like, just they're efficient. Like, whether it's Taylor swinging at the ball, somebody's passing, and it's just like, bam, like damn, really useful body angles, mindful, but also soft, like at the cushion point.
Yeah, like nice and simple.
Yeah.
Do you find it to be, because you've grown up in the game for so long and you have such a great natural instinct for it, do you find that to be almost a challenge coaching? Because you can't teach intuition. What I've noticed with Try, when I ask Try, I pepper him with questions all the time. Like, why'd you do this on the block? Or why'd you do this or that? Or how'd you do this? And he's like, I don't know. Or especially with surfing. Like, Try, why'd you pop up there? He's like, well, you just feel it and you do it. I was like, well, that's really unhelpful for me. Do you find that to be a challenge for you as someone who is so intuitive, like that it is hard to explain something that at this point comes so naturally where your body just does things even if your mind isn't really recognizing why?
Totally. And I feel like for certain skills, like I think defense, blocking, and the creativity of offense, like within those, it can still be useful and helpful for people to recognize, like, because if I were to, being a defender or blocker, we can maybe start there. Like if I'm a defender and I'm a blocker, and if I'm trying to, like, as a learner, looking at observing these professionals and hearing and trying to mentally map out how to be a better defender, I'm going to maybe get myself in some better spots, but I'm going to lose the feeling of like, it really is being a part of the painting. And it's like connecting to some of these things that it's like, you recognize where the flow is taking this play and you morph into it and you become that painting, and you want to become that painting secondary, right? Like you fall into like what they're painting that they're creating until like, and then you respond off of that. And some people can beat that kind of a defense, right? Everyone gets burnt on that, you know. Try will get burnt, dive in this way. I'll get, anyone in regard to the best blockers in the world will get burnt doing that. But so it is fascinating to have that, like, in the intuitive approach of falling into that picture. And I think that guides people to be just a little less heady on the court. Like, it's more animalistic, it's more fluid, and there's a balance. Get yourself in the right spot with a mental attitude. Like, and I haven't learned from like the Billy, there's people that I put hand in hand with that mental, like just wizardry. Like I haven't had a lot of time talking to Billy Allen or John Mayer about those things, that like how they created these scenarios in which the other team feels uncomfortable. Yeah. So it's cool to witness both. And once again, I just think we have from all sides, like the different pros, like what we assemble, the cast we assemble is meant to challenge each side of that. Yeah. And just make sure people don't get too heady or too like laissez-faire. Yeah. Well, John Mayer in that book, when I went over his transcript, like some of them, a lot of times, some of the better conversations we had didn't necessarily translate into being great for the book. But Mayer's, like, it's pretty much the whole podcast is transcribed in that book. I was like, everything you said is amazing. Like, you want to talk about mental wizardry, John Mayer. He's the one. Cow. He's the one for you. Is he like? Yeah. Cool. I love that guy. I've tried to get him as a coach. He won't respond to my emails. He's pretty busy. He's a busy guy. He's pretty busy. Man, it's so weird that this sport, where college coaching is the pinnacle. Yeah. And then professional coaching, like you're grinding and sort of groveling. But then you go to, a UCLA. Yeah, that's interesting. Like Jose Loyola he took the UCLA job and assistant job instead of the head coach at USA. Like that's a good. Doesn't bode well. I'm sorry. That's it's just a weird gap. It is a weird gap. It's different. Yeah. But Mayer's building good things out there. For sure is. Absolutely. Can I talk to you about offense? Please do. Sorry, what were we going to say? Well, I was going to ask who some of your favorite coaches you worked with. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I like that one. Well, I think everyone I think there's a time and a place for all of them that I've enjoyed in terms of like the Brazilians. Some days I just need to like be like put through drill, fire, effort, energy, flow. And I think they're more on that intuitive side of things. Yeah. I haven't gotten, just recently, like this last weekend or two, it was kind of fun. It was fun. Coach Bill Kolinski, right? A player who's been in it for a long time, that I have an immense amount of respect for how he has, won games throughout his career.
Yes.
The ways, the means in which.
Yeah.
And being a part of it, being a cog in that system, to be placed in spots that feels really uncomfortable, severely uncomfortable with my flow, and allowing that discomfort to happen, and then seeing and trusting that it worked in some moments that I was like a lot of cool, it was a cool feeling. So player coach in that regard, that was really cool to experience.
Yeah. I think Bill and Jake Gibb are the two shining examples of two guys who, in Jake's case, did squeeze every last drop of physical ability he had, and Bill is still doing that. Like, you guys beat Phil and Avery. Yeah. It's a great win. That's awesome. And then you had Try and Came on the ropes.
Yeah, right. I appreciate that. And I've always felt that way about him in that regard. Whenever I've watched him play, I've been like, God, I don't like losing to you, Bill, but God, I respect you. God, I respect you, you son of a gun. Dude, so that was cool to feel that.
I had the same thing. So before New Orleans, me and Avery beat Bill and Hagen. It was the first time I'd ever beat Bill. My record before that was 0-15. 15 straight. That does some damage to a man's soul.
And you've gotten him 2 in a row, though, right?
Gotten him 2 in a row now. It only took me 5 years to adjust. It's all slick Willie.
Yeah, it's like setting up those traps, right? He's like, I gotta make a comment about the game against, I think it was against Phil and Avery. And so I have this battle, right? Like, no man wants to be told what to do, right? In general.
I was wondering how that was going to work because Bill is just like, you go here and I'm here, and you're just like, I'm going to feel the flow. I'm going to see the colors and smell the smells, and I'm going to dig 19 balls a set.
Like my flow, like I'm at the spot where I understand my flow can only get me so far. So I know I have to sharpen. I know I have things to learn, and I know that there's wisdom out there. Yeah. And this is my collision point to play with him to have that experience, right? Yeah. And I'm out there and I'm laughing because there's tons of those moments where I'm just like, oh God, this is painful. And like, oh God, I'm gonna have to trust this guy. Oh God. And then in that game, he came through. Like, he came through. It was like literally, I'm like, okay, I'm going to let go, let you do it, Bill. And he just was left and right. And he had 12 blocks. Like, he was blocking just absolutely amazing. And at the end of the game, though, like end of set 1 or whatever, is crucial moment, clutch time. I'm standing literally in the middle of the court, and he stops the game. Like, he literally, like, the refs couldn't blow the whistle because he's yelling at me. And he turns around. He's like, Chase. He's pointing to the right side. Trust me, serve from over here. Serve from here. And I'm sitting there and I'm like literally like a schoolboy, like, oh, I'm like, no, don't do this to me in public, Bill. Like, seriously. And Bill, after the game, was laughing about it too. He's just like, yeah, even Phil was going, what are you doing, dude? Like, it was literally for like 10 to 12 seconds until I finally went, I took a beeline at an angle that wasn't even facing the court to serve from there. And I popped it in. And he did it. He shut the game down. We won it. And I was just like, and I sat there just going like, Bill is it.
Bill the Prophet.
Bill the Prophet. It was pretty funny.
He's so smart, man. I think he's probably the player that I think gets better as the match goes on. Because he just dials into the data he's collecting on whose tendency is what on that particular day. And of those 15 straight I'd lost, maybe 12 had gone 3.
Right.
And it was like 15, 8, and 3 every time. And I was like, damn it, Bill. He just would have those cat paws, just like, all in the right spots. Yeah. He just calls a really good game.
He does, huh? It's interesting. And I do wonder, to get in the mind of him, God, he is guarding that info. I wanted to learn a little bit more from you, Bill. I didn't want to just have to be a passenger in your van. Just a few times explain what your treachery is, okay? It's all right. No, it's good. It's so fun.
Dude, that's another similarity between him and Jake. Jake kept his info close to the chest, and then Try was funny because Try and Jake were always such a good rivalry.
Yeah.
And then Try plays in the Olympics with him. He's like, finally, I get to dig into the mind of Jake Gibb. And now, Jake's an open book. He'll tell you whatever you need to know now that he's retired, and he's got his Jake Gibb Volleyball Academy down in Huntington. Yeah. He should. It'd probably help.
That's cool.
When I was playing with Shakhtar, actually, we hit up Jake to coach us.
Yeah.
Because Shakhtar was like, that's a guy I want to learn from. But Jake was coaching juniors at the time.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's not probably, yeah.
It's cool that you acknowledge that maybe being 100% flow isn't going to take you to that next level. Because Jordan Chang, he brought this great saying like what got you here might not necessarily get you to there. And so you like that flow got you to, I think, a very good playing career, and then maybe add some of the Papa Bill and you could level up.
Right.
It's kind of cool, but it's a scary thing.
It is a scary thing. Gosh. Yeah. No, that's hard to do. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And as I said, like it was kind of felt like, felt blessed in the way that I just grew up in the sport, and it kind of all just, it occurred, it happened, it became natural to me. I learned, I worked hard, I wanted to win. I try, like I've intended to perfect my craft as well as we've gone, but like, as you say, those can be the biggest hurdles, right? Those are the biggest ones where you have to change, you have to adapt on the fly in that way. So I think I'm in process. I think I am, and probably accepting, letting Bill tell me exactly where to be is a start of that.
Yeah. And it's fun too, to play with different people. Coming in this year, I told Delaney, I was like, I'm just going to have as much fun as possible. Like if there's someone I want to play with, I'm just going to play with them, and I want to be competitive, but I just like want to make sure that that's someone I want to play with. And you just learn about that person so fast, but then you also learn a lot of like what makes them, like what got them here. Like I can take that from that person. I can take this from that person. And like seeing how Sam Schachter's mind works was awesome. And he's so analytical. And then you can play with someone else and you can pick up, you just kind of pick up little pieces along the way. And it's super fun.
It is fun.
I think you've popped around a little bit. You've probably learned quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah. In different ways for sure. From each partner, right? Like, and at first it started like, I think I actually just talked to a kid who reached out on it, you connect to these people, like reached out asking about partner, like, hey, I've got a partnership. I know you've had a lot of them. So, what do you think about this? And it is fascinating. I think early on it was an avoidance of like what my truth was in those matters, right? Of being like, it was their fault. It was their fault. It was their fault. It was their fault. And now it's just a little bit more so like, just what do I most need? And sometimes that doesn't feel like the thing that feels like the best. It's fascinating, right? Like it might not, maybe a few tournaments for me to grow are going to feel like ugly in a different way, right? That I'm going to be put in a spot that maybe it won't be results, but maybe those 2 tournaments, something will click. Like I learned something. So it's kind of like darts at a board a little bit too. Yeah. Or educated, internal decisions, right?
You and Dave should be pretty dang good. It's going to be a good defensive team, dude.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Yeah. God, it's so hard with these. Yeah, just hard in the sport when you have to like make decisions mid-season. Like our sport is just so funky, right? Weird. But I also think it was cool. It's like forced like really like professional decisions and like professional conversations, and I'm grateful. Yeah. For how I was able to battle with Bill, with him knowing that I was playing with another person in the next tournament, like how cool he was about it. Like that shows once again, like this is a lot of love for Bill Kolinsky segment. So this is, but like, it's cool. It's cool to sense that. And I think, our sport, it can do well with professionality. Right. Yeah.
And you said you wanted to ask me about offense?
Oh, I was going to ask you about something, wasn't I?
Yeah. And we went down the coaching.
Let's go there. I was thinking with defense.
Yeah.
Because with defense, we were talking about the intuition. And for me, I've never been good with vision.
Okay.
I've always kind of relied on a flow or a trust or like a show something and then go the other way, go aggressive, hit a different shot, change my wrist, right? And it's kind of been in my offense, but obviously, if I want to go to the next level, I've got to adapt. I've got to find different ways. It's so uncomfortable for me to try to see the court because I'm just like, I'm going to lose a lot of tournaments if I keep doing that. If I do this, like I'm going to be losing. I'm going to be losing if I like take peeks and try to see exactly where a person is. Yeah. It's really hard for me to do that. Like, I'm wondering, for your offense, like what amount of your offense is perceiving where the defense is and beating that versus being the offensive player to hit the ball to the sand and then responding off of that.
Right. I think a lot of it depends on the type of team I'm playing against. So against you and Bill, I'll use you guys as an example.
Cool.
Bill runs a lot of dives. And so a lot of times I will have to actually go against my vision, because my vision, I rely on feeling blocker and what is the space around him. But with Bill, where he starts is very rarely going to be where he ends up. And so if you feel the line is closed, and you're like, okay, that means the angle's open, and you try to hit an angle, you're going to get blocked a lot. And Bill's blocked me more than anyone in the world. And so Bill's like, knowing the defensive style of the other team is something that I take into account. But my vision is predominantly blocker based.
Okay.
So that's why smaller blockers have usually given me a problem, like a try, where he loads so low and I can't see him. And so I don't know where the space is. And so then I'm relying on defenders, but I don't take that peek because then I lose the ball. I don't do the Tim Baumgren, like big look at the bottom, or the Kristen Nuss. I don't know how they do that. It's wizardry to me.
Yeah, it's hard, huh?
And so, but when it's a big blocker like an Andy Benish, it's easier for me to understand where the space is going to be. But now Andy's making these big dynamic moves, but I'm usually just like, where's the space? Either hit it at that space or shoot around it.
Right.
And so that's why I think going on 2, I'm better on 2 than on 3, I think, because it's a lot easier to feel that space. There's a lot more of it. I'm like, okay, here's a big swath of scene. I'm just going to pop it down there until someone takes it.
Yeah, you were great all weekend on that. Every time I watched you, especially when we were on the court against you. Yeah, you were hitting it. You were hitting it freaking amazing. Yeah.
It helps when JD passes like that.
He was passing. He's times, isn't he? Yeah, I know. He's like used to be in 4-man middle back, putting right on the setter's head. He's like, all right, my setter is now next to me. I'm going to put it up.
If you're starting a 4-man team, man, you can't start with a better person than JD. It's passes nuggets every time.
I love it. I love it. Yeah.
I don't know, but the vision thing, it's hard.
Yeah, right? Well, especially, I just grew up that way. Not to, just fully trusting the flow, and I take little peeks here and there, and I'm working on. I'm getting a little better at it, but I'm just like, I just think people get preoccupied at that, like having to know where the defense is in general to like hit a shot. Like I'd rather be, for me, I guess that's just through my eyes, right? It's like, it's just through my eyes. 80% of the time I like that, like, God, stop me first. Like, don't allow the defense. Like, to me, almost like if it was 80% the other way, it'd be like, we are giving the defense the credit that they, allow ourselves to be hunted because we're seeing what they're giving us, right? And then, okay, I see what they're giving us, and then I'm going to try to decide whether it's going to be here or there, right? Like, I have trouble. Like, to me, that almost gives too much power to the defense. So I just like to barrel downhill. So, that can be part of my problem. But I'm like, you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, why would I want to look at this defense that's already that's trying to trick me?
Right.
Why wouldn't I just go towards sand and pretend like they're not even an issue? So I'm acting like I'm 6'10". I think that's the problem.
I don't know. I mean,
you know what I mean?
Terminal defender. I mean, for someone who says that you're not a great vision player, like I've always thought when playing you, that you see the court so well that running little trick plays on you, it has not worked very well for me in the past. I mean, I'd never beaten you.
You got me. I
was over. So your record is still significantly ahead.
And I went at you at the end of that one, dude.
I think you guys did it too late, honestly.
You think so?
Because JD, like the way he was passing, the way our on-2 was going, I was like, it's only a matter of time.
Bill didn't say it once. Where's the wizardry, Bill? I'm joking. This is funny.
I was telling JD that I was surprised it took you guys till 1916 to really go for it.
We couldn't stop you on 2 for sure. And then, no, I mean, everyone has that though. Like, like you weren't served the whole dang game. Like there's going to be 1 or 2, but then what'd you do? You finished it right when you needed to. There was 1 or 2, there was one play, but you cashed in. Yeah,
but I have actually, one thing I've watched in commentating the World Tour is that's a really common thing teams are doing is at 18-17 they surprise the person who's been frozen out, and they it's a pretty high percentage that the defense gets one because that person hasn't passed, the other person hasn't set. We did that to Dave at the end of both sets against Dave and Rafu.
Got him.
First time we served him, Rafu ball went right through his hands on the set. He hadn't set a ball the whole match.
I saw that, yeah.
And something similar happened at the end of the second where he didn't go through his hands, but he trapped Dave.
Yeah.
And so then Dave tried a low line swing, blocked him. Dave got like 4 serves the whole time, and I think we earned on 3.
Right.
And you just like picked the right time to do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. God, I hate the pressure of being served. It's terrible sometimes. It's terrible. God, it feels so bad. Like you're just like you're getting stuck on and it's just like sticky, and then you're just like, oh God, like these guys are 7 feet tall, jumping over the net. It's terrible. Oh, so it's so funny. Yeah. Over the career.
Yeah.
Well, it is. What the thing that's funny is just like, I played with Avery for a really long time. He's the absolute classic version of he'll show a little weakness, but at the end of the day, he'll finish most matches.
Yeah.
He'll finish, like he like loves it.
Yeah.
It's his favorite thing ever to feel that like immense pressure on him, right? And then he'll get blocked 2 or 3 times, and you stay on him because you think you got him, and then he'll side out 12 in a row, and all of a sudden he's won the match, right?
And then, but you're stuck on that run of 3. You're like, he'll give us another, and he doesn't.
This is my like PSA that I need to get served absolutely every time. Like, serve me every time. This is my PSA. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding, because I feel like I have been able to avoid that space for a really long time, and I know that that's what I have to do in terms of my game if I want to level up. Like, I've got to be able to serve, and I've got to be able to be crisp, and I've got to have a multitude of offensive horizons, or else I'm like, no, I can't hit 2 or 3 really hard balls that makes people go, oh God, I'm going to go to his partner. Like that gig's up, and I know that.
You have a big arm, though.
I've got a
whippy swing.
Thanks, I appreciate you, but I'm just like, I guess I'm communicating that to the world. Like, serve me. Like, I need that pressure, because I do. If I'm going to grow, I need to feel that. I need to feel that over time, and not have it be a negative connotation to it. So
it's funny how certain people respond differently to getting served, because like some guys want to get served because then the game's completely in their control. Because there's nothing as frustrating as losing a match when you just felt like you weren't even a part of it. When you're just kind of like setting, and you're like, damn, like I wish I got a few balls. And then like you're playing with Sam Schachter and you're getting 98% of the serves, and you're like, okay, if we lose, it's my fault. That's a scary thing.
Yeah. Oh gosh. And there's no pressure at all on the like points per like there's no pressure at all in our game. You know what I mean?
None.
You understand what I'm saying? Like, we play once every 3.5 weeks, 4 weeks, right? Build our lives around it, and it's like, oh, you're in a qualifier, you're gonna get every serve here. It is cool. Like, yeah, qualifiers are fun. I don't miss them, but I do. Like, I remember that feeling. It is a good feeling to feel like you have to, and feel like you've bought that flight. You go across the country to like get into this tournament right here.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping I don't go backwards to do that right now. But like, I'm just saying, like, it's wild. The sport is just, anything can freaking happen. Mm-hmm. Like, people can be in the sport for 5 years, right? And like go as high as the 5th seed. It could only take a couple results or a year or 2, and they're back in the dang qualifier fighting for their lives, right? So it's we're in an adventure here.
Yeah. I view qualifiers as sort of like pledging a fraternity. It's like, it's the most fun I never want to have again. Like, qualifying, getting that last ball in the sand, man, it's the greatest feeling.
Right.
And I have yet to have a win in the main draw that is anywhere close to the equivalent of that feeling of just qualifying.
I think you're right.
But I just don't ever want to do them.
Oh God. No, there's got to be like a critical mass, right, for each human being. Right? I mean, you've done it like 10 times. You've paid your dues for sure. You've done it more.
I'm getting in like Rafi Paulus territory.
You are, aren't you? Like, you've.
Rafi, I think, has done it more than anyone.
Rafi has. That would be a fun stat, right? A metric.
Who has made it out of the most qualifiers?
Right, or the percentages of how often people get out. Like, Lev has a high percent, right? He does it often, right? It's cool. It'd be cool to see those stats.
I ran into the guy who runs BVB Info, Dennis, in Virginia, and he actually gave me a printout of I think maybe the last decade of who has the most qualifier qualifications and the highest percentage. And number 1, I think in the last 10 years, was Adam Roberts. He qualified. It was something like 42%. Wow. But that was high. That was like the number 1. So that just shows you like what a flip of the coin it is,
right,
to get into qualifier, where you're more likely to lose than not.
Yeah. It's like that kid's batting average this year for, the Florida Marlins. I think it's below sub 400 now. No, I'm joking. Sorry. But yeah, that's pretty low. I would have expected it a lot higher, actually.
Yeah.
I would expect like 60 or 70% for somebody. Like dang. That's great. But was it a certain number, like a minimum requirement for how many people
probably
he competed in?
It was probably like at least maybe 10.
Okay.
Yeah, or King Lev would be at the top of that.
Right. How many do you think? What is his percentage at? Like,
Gosh, Lev is the king of like making out of the qualifier, but then not doing enough in the main, so he's back in the qualifier. Right. That's the toughest part. Is once you get in, like the work is, it only just started. Right.
It is fascinating too to me to like I've talked to Wooly, one of our good buddies. Shout out to Travis Wollison, but. We always talk about it, and he's just like, well, what does it take? He's just so passionate about the sport. Like, what does the qualifier take? And he's made it a couple times. But, like, we always have these, talks of, like, oh, well, ball, probably, likely, like, what are the key point? Ball control? Like, I'd also like that metric, right? Yeah. Like, when you think of a team, like, maybe their top attributes. Like, what are the ones that are qualifying more times than not, right? Like, is ball control getting people through? Like, then what is the limitation of winning that first match? It is a fascinating, like, there's obviously so many ways it can go. But
I think my qualifier hypothesis is the teams that make the least amount of errors are by far the most likely to qualify. But that metric might not necessarily be the same because once you're in the main draw, you can't play not to lose. Like you have to go out and like your risk reward has to be taken up a notch.
Right.
Like you can't just be hitting medium high lines to beat a try and came where like now you're going to have to take that risk up a notch because if you hit a medium high line and Kame digs it might as well be an error. Right. Because he's like Kame's one of the most terminal side out players in the world.
Makes sense. That makes a ton of sense.
That's my current theory.
Makes a ton of sense.
Open to challenges from anyone, but
no, I like that. Yeah, it's fascinating. Because there's some guys that can jump through a damn roof and maybe they're winning 10, 15, 20% against somebody in the main just because they're like hitting at that high point, right? That just nobody can stop them, right? So, they can get on, they can hit their jump serve in a way. So it is fascinating, the different arrangements that make it through, right? But as we say, like probably, and also another one would be like how long teams are together.
Right.
That would be a cool one.
Yeah. Right. I think Kyle Friend asked me that.
Yeah.
Our last fan question episode, he asked if we could kind of break down the success of like new partnerships, especially when they play their old partners, and what the longevity thing is. And we just saw a testament to longevity with Corinne Quiggle and Sarah Skirmahorn.
That's cool.
They had played the most tournaments of any team in Hermosa, and they'd had a rough year. Like 2023 has not been kind to them. Yeah. And then, bam, like I don't know what caused the breakthrough, but breakthrough. I mean, it's a light field, but you still beat really good freaking teams to get there.
Right.
And they won. Couldn't be any happier for them.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
It is, huh? It's amazing.
And sometimes it's just like the power of one more. Where Corinne and Skirm were probably at that point where it's like, maybe we should try different options, and then you play one more tournament and bingo, you win one of the best tournaments in the world.
Heck yes. Power of one more. Almost seems like even having that thought too, there's like a letting go or like a refreshment, right, to the partnership. Like, you understand what I'm saying? Like, it is fascinating because sometimes it can get stale, stagnant of being with a partner for too long. Like, how do you mix it up, right? With that, like, yeah.
It's invigorating to play with someone new. It's fun.
It is, right? It is. It's a good feeling. It's a flash in the pan. Now it feels like we're really talking about relationships. Right? But no, it's
hard to separate the two.
It is. It's interesting, right? It is interesting because you can really hit it off with somebody. Like, there is like that. There's that energy. You can feel that when you like are fresh and new with somebody, and the mind hasn't interfered too much with trying to doctor what it should look like, and there's probably less pain in it, and it's just like on the court you make it's like a masterpiece because you're just like you're in trust of something that's deeper than what somebody says. Like, I think sometimes words can get in the way, right? Like, if I were on the court with you, pass a ball, and you set me 5 in a row without me talking, you could probably see which one, and you could find it.
Yeah.
I might get in the way by like trying to communicate it and like trying to change me, but like we could find each other in that way.
Right.
And it's just like, boom. Like, we practiced together, right? What was that? We had a damn good practice week.
Yeah.
We're like, not that I'm surprised by it, but I'm like, we came out and beat some good teams, and like there was just a natural like ease to it. You didn't have to. I didn't have to say anything. You didn't have to talk to me. We were just on the same page.
Yeah. It's fun. It's just fun.
Volleyball. Yeah, volleyball. Yeah. Was there a camera here? Like, we were just talking. I thought we just got lost. Yeah.
Dude, that's what I love about this podcast, dude. We just like get to hang out with my buddy Chase and just BS around, and then people enjoy listening to it.
Cool. Oh, thanks, guys. No, it's fun. Thank you for having me. Really appreciate it.
What's like your? I never with the way my life has gone, I don't think there's any real sense in having like 5 and 10 year plans because 10 years ago I'd never heard of beach volleyball, and here we are.
Right.
But do you have any visions as like what your career as a player, what you want it to look like, flight school, what you want that to look like, or at this point is this just kind of abstract art and you're making it happen, Captain?
It's kind of like rolling a bunch of balls with a pool noodle.
There's our headline. Chase Frishman's rolling balls with the pool noodle.
That's class. That's so fun. Yeah, it's like rolling balls with a pool noodle. Okay. So, but like sincerely, like I'm in a spot where I have some wonderful things like flight school, my career, side by side, my own happiness, my relationship, my livelihood here, my decision whether California tickles my fancy enough that I really want to stay here, whether it's worth the job or whether I could branch out and move to a different state and feel happy in that and still continue rolling the ball. And I have a lot of passions and hobbies, and for me to stay in one spot long enough for any of them to be seen and felt by the world hasn't always happened. So my goal is just to continue sharing my heart and whatever I do, being as real as I can and authentic, bringing it on the court if it happens in that way, bringing it in the community feel of like how passionate I've felt like when one of our flight school events has gone well and you can feel like this whole community together and the camaraderie of that is a special feeling that has probably gone past what I've seen and noticed what I would want to do in terms of like winning an AVP. So if I win an AVP, cool, but it's like it's actually lower on the list. Like I'm just happy to like those moments feel like the connection. If it happens and it makes other people happy, great. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like
because winning, it's such an ephemeral, short-lived thing. I mean, it's a high.
Yeah.
But it's a really fast high, and then you come back to normal, and you're proud of it. But it's not the deeper fulfillment isn't there from winning,
right?
Because you accomplish something cool, but then it's winning is what have you done for me lately? Where if you win once, but then you take a 9th or a 13th, or you don't qualify in the next one, it's like, oh well, that was kind of a fluke. Versus if you go to Montana and you coach and you make some great relationships, and then you get to see them a couple weeks later, like. That's cool. Mm-hmm. Like there's something deeper and richer to that.
Totally.
So everything you said makes perfect sense.
Yeah, building the community and the culture alongside it to make it feel that much more rewarding. And I've been blessed with that as well from Laguna Beach. Like shout out to all those people back there that have been with me, through it and supported me to get to the spot as well. Because you can't do it without anybody, right? As well in that regard, and just continue to grow from that vibe, that wholesome, heartfelt vibe, and. Whoever wants to be a part of that tribe, and obviously, you've done it with SANDCAST, and I always have looked up to you in that way in terms of how you view the world and your ability to compartmentalize.
Thanks.
Yes.
Fun journey.
Yeah, man. Thank you.
Glad to be on it with you.
Yeah. Let's go.
Let's go.
Where are we going next?
You just let me know.
Okay.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Ready to take flight, Captain.
Yeah, Bubba. Sounds good. What'll happen, and. A lot of love for the volley world, and I'm gonna stop talking. Anyways,
well, before we go, where can people contact you about flight school if they wanted to have one, or if they're interested in attending one?
You can reach out to us on Flight School _VBall events on Instagram if you'd like. Go www.flightschoolvolleyball.com. You can click there, and you can find our info to track us down either by phone or by email. Obviously, if you have specific pros in mind, wonderful, that you'd like to come out and build around. Obviously, we have a certain amount of weekends as well, so reach out to us as quick as you can because they're going, right? And we intend for them to kind of fill up through the rest of the year and into next year. So just has been, really rewarding. So grateful, man.
Happy to see your success, Chaser.
You as well.
Appreciate you for coming on. It's been too long.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah, enjoy the books as well.
Yeah, and buy that as well, Playbook of Champions. I'm going to read it tonight. Yeah, smart.